Raidieraksts Drošinātājs.
The World Hockey Championship recently ended in May, but unfortunately without the participation of the Ukrainian team. But did you follow the championship? Did you have some favorite team? And what are your thoughts about this event, maybe?
I did follow. I didn't watch the games, really, to tell you the truth. I just rewatched the parts. I was, I think, pretty shocked, like everyone else, that Canada lost. So cheers to the Danes. So pretty much I didn't cheer for any specific team. I was 100% sure Canada is going to win that championship. But I guess sports is, that's the great thing about sports. You never know, and especially hockey, actually. So you never know who's going to win, and the amount of talent, and no matter what everyone thinks, it's not quite 100%. It doesn't give you 100% win in those games. So I would be happy if Canada won, but still US, they were better in this whole championship. And but I think it would be great if the Swiss were on top. I think they deserved it as well. So it's a game.
But how would you describe, the attention that this championship brings to in the Ukraine in the last 5-10 years? Can you compare how many people follow this championship? Of course, if there's Ukrainian team, it's different if the Ukrainians are participating.
No, I think people follow this. I really cannot say the numbers, and it doesn't. And I don't think that the viewership can be compared to soccer or football. So that is definitely out of competition in terms of numbers and views and fans in Ukraine. But World Championship is a big thing in hockey community in Ukraine, and just in general, I think it gets a lot of attention. Right now, if the Ukrainian team, the national team, is taking part, then it definitely gets more attention because of the war, and I feel like more people would, try to look into that or cheer for the team because of that. That definitely brings out the pride and the national pride in people as well, and kind of brings people together too.
Yeah, so you would say that the sports as a whole in Ukraine, it's still a big part of. It's the way how to boost the moral of the Ukrainians. So some kind of achievements in soccer, any other sports, it's good for moral of the Ukraine. Yes,
I think sports in general. I know that there has been this narrative that keeps that sports and politics are different, they're not in the same kind of space, and people should combine them and have politics out of it. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think that has ever been the case, especially with national teams. There are national teams for that. It's still, it has historically, it has always been like that, like Olympics, World Championships, etc. We know, those very, very sad Olympic Games in Germany, and to us and to Ukrainians, sports is definitely still part of our lives. We're having competitions inside the country. More people are following our athletes who are competing internationally. And I think it's also one of the ways of first boosting morale, as you said. Also, it's a way for people to forget, at least for an hour, to what's going on in their lives, forget in a good way, because the war has penetrated every aspect of lives of every single Ukrainian person. So there's no way to not feel it. So sports and actually any events that are going on in the country. And I know this because people have our fans who come to our games, they've been saying that at least for an hour or two, I can forget of what's going on and just focus on the game and see experience different emotions, which are positive, definitely positive. So for that. Then what I was saying, that when athletes compete internationally, they're holding our flag. They still bring attention to what's going on in Ukraine. And no matter if, like, Ukraine is not in the news anymore because, and the war, everything, all the disasters and everything, what our neighbor is doing to civilians actually daily is not part of the news broadcast like in Western European countries. So it's the sports bring attention to that. Yeah, and athletes do their part. And there are a lot of athletes who are very proud in representing the country and bringing attention to the war.
And from time to time, these discussions flare up about whether Russia and its athletes could be allowed to participate in top-level competition. So do you think there would be even a place for such discussions at all during this time? And do you see that if they would be allowed, then Ukrainian hockey players would even compete with them?
I don't see how we can even discuss this at this moment, especially understanding that Russian athletes are part of propaganda machine and they're a very conscious part of it. Most of them, as far as I know, have military, like hold military ranks. That's how Russian sports and basically Soviet sports worked. And they still do the same thing right now. I don't know, like, I feel like, yeah, I see those discussions coming up in the news. I don't see how Ukrainians should be participating, although we see the example in tennis, right? We're still not shaking hands, and I think with those athletes, and I think it's the right thing to do. I think after the Second World War, Germany has been banned from the Nazi Germany, I would say, has been banned from competition for quite a few years, right? So I don't understand why right now it's a different thing, and there should be a different argument to that. But yeah, that's like personal opinion. So I'm not sure. It's a tough question, especially for athletes who are still participating. I don't know whether they should be boycotting or not, but I think like last week, like at the end of last week, I've seen news that I think it's a Taekwondo Federation. They have announced that they're going to be boycotting the championships because Russians have been allowed to participate.
But what do you think about those ice hockey players who, despite Russia's actions, go to Russia and play hockey there in KHL, for example? Well, they choose to earn money and they don't look at the other actions, politics and stuff like that, which Russia does. And we also have a few Latvian ice hockey players who went there. So what do you think about these hockey players, about their decisions to do this? I guess maybe there are some Ukrainian ice hockey players as well who play in Russia. I don't know.
I personally don't know them, but I think there's somebody coaching, or I don't know. I don't even remember their names, to tell you the truth. But what can I say about those people? I think, what goes around comes around. That's what I'm going to say. So if they're choosing that's their personal decision, their own morale. I'm not the one to judge, but I would not deal with those people in the future or anytime. So I'd rather, I think, ignore and hopefully not meet those people in my life. So
one more question before we get to the case with you and your hockey club. Well, we have in Washington as well one club who has capitals in its name, like Kyiv Capitals, and there's Alexander Ovechkin, of course, the Russian player. Well, he and a lot of Russian hockey players plays there, but there are also, of course, critics about them, about the league itself. Do you, understand the situation that they are playing, and then they are not criticizing Russia and still playing there, and the league itself is also with closed eyes on everything that is happening around? Can you say that it's just a business and that's it is what it is how it is?
Of course, all these questions are like emotional for every Ukrainian. So I'm trying to not to bring emotions into this because for one thing that I have personally learned and many Ukrainians have learned, it's very hard to explain to people what's going on if they have not experienced this personally. So there's no way to, to make people who have not been to Ukraine or experienced this wars personally in their lives to understand why we feel that the way that we feel. So I would say that as far as I understand, for NHL, it is just business. It's a big business. They do have contracts in place that would not allow them to, expel or put on probation players from Russia, not have them. So once again, it's an ethical question. Unfortunately, businesses, especially in our times, from what I see, are not being ethical. This is business, but I would say there are players that have been criticizing Russia and their actions. But as far as what I've seen and what we know from the facts and news and social media and like the actual activities of the player that you have mentioned from the Capitals, I think he is not criticizing. He's not even silent. He's very much pro. So pro-aggression and pro-Russian government. And it's a very different thing. So not sure what we can do about it, but I don't know what should happen, but life is everything can happen in life. I don't think that this, what he stands for is the right thing. Not to say something harsher about it, but yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't understand how, notwithstanding his achievements in sports, how this is possible. But for the past 3-4 years, we have seen that genocide in Europe in the 21st century is possible. So I guess that's the harsh reality we're living right now.
Okay, so finally speaking about you, your father was also a hockey player, as I understand, and I guess because of your father, your life is connected with hockey, yes?
Yeah, my dad played hockey when he was really young, and he didn't go into pro hockey. He played hockey when he was young, quite on a big level, and he was in soccer youth team, and but then he didn't proceed. Although hockey stayed in his life, and he still plays with his friends, like on an amateur level. To tell you the truth, hockey was never actually part of my life. So that was kind of like his thing, and I was never involved in that. But now it's definitely a huge part of my life for the past 2 years and counting, yeah.
So how did you get involved in all this? Did a full-scale invasion change all this? What was the trigger to take a part in this?
Yeah, well, I think it was like back in like early 2023, winter 22, was like we're not in Kyiv, not in Ukraine, left when the invasion started. And then, so we were sitting with my family, and it was like a really harsh winter with the infrastructure being blown up, and nobody knew like what to expect and what's going to happen. And it was just a really, really dire situation. And everybody, I cannot even explain how everyone felt, but at the same time, we were thinking that we need to do something. Apart from helping the military and everyone who's protecting our country and our people, that's a given, but we were thinking of we need to do something to give back, something to rebuild, something to, in a way, to look into the future, not just thinking about what's going, the present and how bad everything is, but to start thinking about the future and in a positive way. And that's how we started bringing up sports because, well, I loved sports my whole life. I've never been a professional athlete, but I do like follow sports. And so kind of in those like brainstorming evenings. And then my dad was like talking to his friends in hockey. And that was the idea it was actually his idea to create a club, create a team, to basically give back to the country, do our part of rebuilding right now, even during the war, not wait till this ends, because as a part, like in sports. So he chose hockey because this is something dear to him and something close to him.
From this idea to the creation of the team, if I understand correctly, it took about a half a year. So how challenging was it to create a new team? What were maybe difficulties or obstacles, or it was pretty smooth or not that hard to do this?
It wasn't smooth. It's not even smooth right now. It's hard, but at the same time, well, like I feel like if you decide to do something and you put your heart into it, you can do it. So I mean, it was really difficult because first you need people to have the club and have the team. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges because a lot of players are not in Ukraine right now. A lot of Ukrainian players are playing like internationally. A lot of kids left. So the challenge was to actually find players. One of the biggest challenges to find players and to find ice because there's really a huge lack of infrastructure in Kyiv and in Ukraine right now. Kyiv is for some reason, which I'm still very surprised because personally, Kyiv being a capital does not have hockey infrastructure in place. But other than that, like marketing aspect, I don't know, we've been just working like every day, no weekends, coming up with ideas like marketing, website, etc. And so it was a challenging time and still is, but I think it was very positive too because I think we did a great job. It was a great idea. Everybody was very invested in this. So the teams that have been working on this, so on this brand.
But as I understand the Kyiv Capitals, it is not just one team. There's men's, women's, also veteran team. So can you describe this whole structure of this brand?
Right. So we try to basically replicate and work, and develop, create it as a club, like a proper European hockey club. So from the start, we had, of course, there's a men's team that is like the driver of this whole thing. Then we had a women. We had created we knew that we were going to have women's team. We're also collaborating with Krizhinka Kids School. It's the first ice hockey kids school in Ukraine that was made in Ukraine. So it dates back from the Soviet times. So we partnered with them and we are supporting our youth team. It's Kyiv Capitals team, it's called. So this is under 18, guys under 18 playing. And the veterans team right now, it's called veterans, but basically it's the older guys who are playing hockey. So, and we are also planning to have a sled hockey team as well. Hopefully in a few years, we're going to have one.
You said that, many professional hockey players left Ukraine as well. So what can you tell about this men's team, about players? What kind of players are there? As I understand, there was or there are also a Latvian in the team, at least one international player as well, not only Ukrainians. What are the team's core?
So, basically, since we don't have many Ukrainian players available to us because the majority of them have been they already have contracts with other clubs. So when we came, that logically we started looking into bringing foreign players, which is definitely a hard thing to do. especially because of the war right now. But from the first year, yes, we had international players. So we had Denis, who is from Latvia. He played for us for 2 years. We also had a Canadian Chinese player this year. Sam, we have Finnish guy from Finland. We have our goalie from Czech Republic. We had American players come in and play for us. A guy from Australia tried out. So that's. I think we are, for the past 2 years, we've been the only club with foreign players, which is great. I think it's amazing because it definitely changes the environment inside the team. I love it because they bring different experience to the team and to the guys. Some of the guys from our team from Ukraine have never, played abroad. So from, human perspective and from the sports perspective, it's great to have international players.
So how do you convince them? You said that it's hard because the war is going on, or whether they didn't need any convincing, they were just ready.
We have Atu, who's from Finland. He played in Ukraine before. So he loved the country, and it didn't take much of convincing to bring him back. Dennis also played in Ukraine before, and I think he was in Ukraine. He was playing for Kramatorsk when the war, the full-scale invasion erupted. So these two players, they kind of knew what they were getting into, so they were fine, and they love Ukraine even now, and I think both of them are staying or coming back in the country. I mean, then the other ones, that was a challenge. So basically, our coaching team, our sports director, they spent quite a few hours and days and weeks of talking to the guys, explaining. I've been in contact as well, trying to explain what to expect, trying to definitely answer questions about what's the situation from the security perspective is in Kyiv and in Ukraine, which is hard because, of course, we cannot lie and say that everything is perfect and it's totally safe, etc. So you kind of have to tell the truth, but at the same time demonstrate that we're still here, we're still working and playing hockey. So yeah, I think it's basically it's a lot of trust that those players place in us and in the club, and hopefully they have not been disappointed. But I have not heard such words really, and all I know that I think Sam and Radek from Czech, they've been visiting Kyiv afterwards, after the championship. So I think we're doing a great job in bringing internationals into Ukraine right now during war and demonstrating that how the country fights back, and how country still lives and actually works and develops. So I think it's a good thing.
How do you assess this? What do you think about this past season? As I understand, you were leading in the final 3-1 in the final series. In the end, unfortunately, you still lost. What were the feelings, and how would you assess this past season? How was it?
I would say that it was tough. I think it was actually more difficult for us than our first season, no matter the challenges of the first season and bringing team together, from scratch. It was tough in lots of ways. I think the most difficult thing right now for our club is that we don't have our own ice. We don't have our own arena. And first year, we were lucky enough to have the Palace of Sports, which is a very central sports location and events location in Kyiv. And we were lucky to play there, but due to some, organizational issues we did not have ice there this past season. So we had to, and thankfully, a much smaller arena which is like a training arena for our youth team and ice skaters, etc. Which is like right now, like for you, like a bit of perspective for you to understand. Right now in Kyiv, there are just two ice arenas. One is under one belongs to Sokol team, another Kyiv team, which is undergoing renovation at this moment. It's a very old arena from Soviet times, like extremely old. The arena that we played is also like, it's a training arena. It hasn't even been built, with a vision of like hosting any kind of championships there. So it was tough. Like basically we did not have ice. We did not have like training ice as much as the team actually, like a professional team, needs it. And then the championship also, it started late. It started in October, I think even like second half of October. Then blackout, like I'm not even like, discussing like blackouts and whenever like times when you have a game or you have a training and then you have the air raid alert and you have to stop and you have to wait and you don't know how much, whether it's going to be like 30 minutes or 4 hours. So it was a true challenge and it was difficult. So getting into playoff finals in kind of given the circumstances is a great achievement for the club, and getting into the finals in our second year is also, I think, pretty great. The result is not great. And everyone definitely expected a different result. And I think we were capable of achieving a different result. But I don't want to go into much into details of the judges, federation, and all this internal things that are going on in Ukrainian hockey. But as every athlete would say, you see the score. That's the score. We lost. The other team was better. So all I can say that we have to be better next time.
Speaking more about this practical side, what do people do when this air raid comes during the game? Is there somewhere to take a shelter? Is someone going somewhere, or just the game stops and everyone sits and waits for the raid to end? So how this practically looks?
If it's an official championship game, everyone has to leave the building and go into shelter. There are shelters, designated shelters and spaces to hide during the air raid alerts. Yeah, so basically fans and spectators, they leave the building. But afterwards, it's just, I'm not giving out anything secret here. After it's 3 years and almost 4 years of the war, people in Ukraine are basically following, we have our Telegram channels and other WhatsApp channels where we read the news. We read of what are the missiles being targeted at us and where at this moment. And that's kind of when people make decision whether they go into the shelter or not. So if this is not the right thing to do, we have to the right thing to do is go into shelter every time there is air raid. But we've been experiencing them so many times, and some cities say Kharkiv, it's just I was there a few weeks ago, visited my friends there, and it seems air raid is 24/7. So there's no way you can put your life on hold. So people would if these are not ballistic missiles or anything that crazy, people would just probably wait outside and stand outside and wait till the air raid is done.
Well, and the strikes also affect the power grids, so it's challenging to provide ice and light for the arena as well, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we've played during when with no light on, not during games, but training for sure. We've played during when the ice was melting. So We've played during all these times, and there's curfew. There's also there are other details which nobody is talking about, but there's also curfew in Ukraine and in different cities depending on how far away they are from the actual battlefields. So when we were traveling, so we play, let's say, a game in Kremenchuk, which is 5 hours, 6-hour drive from Kyiv. And the game, because of air raids, the game ends really late. We leave, so we come, and basically we arrive into the city at say 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. and there's no way we can go home. So we stay last year and this year there were overnights in parking lot next to arena because legally we're not allowed to drive in the city until 5 a.m. So there you go. That's also one of the challenges. But at the same time, I want to point out that no one we're so thankful that we can actually play. And we're so thankful to those guys and girls who are protecting us and letting us play and allowing this to happen, that these are just little details, little unfortunate details that every single team has to experience in Ukraine right now, not just hockey players, all the athletes.
Yeah, speaking about teams and hockey in general in Ukraine, as I understand the number of teams, ice hockey teams, is also decreased significantly. So there are 6 teams in the local championship. So how's the competition? So has it changed, the level and everything? If we take in this that the number of teams has decreased. So how has this changed everything?
Yeah, the landscape has changed drastically. The teams, I think the number of teams decreased by 2. It decreased, it was halved. It was I think 10 or 12 teams before the full-scale invasion. The number of teams decreased. The number of players decreased. The number of youth players and kids who played hockey, participated, probably gonna, make it into pros, has decreased. Still, I would say the level of competition, it's not too bad, although it's hard for me to compare, really. It's a given. You cannot expect a country that is undergoing such that's undergoing a genocide war, really, have, I don't know, really say something that we are, developing hockey, or it develops right now. I think right now for us, the main goal for us is to persevere and to maintain what we have. I think it was also thinking back of when we were thinking of creating a club. Historically, just by looking at history of Ukrainian hockey, it started, many people know this, but the first hockey match was played in 1905 in Lviv. So we had really vibrant hockey scene way back. And then the First World War erupted, the Second World War, the Soviets. So we had a history of basically hockey teams and clubs and championships wiped out. So this is something that we don't want to repeat right now. So in a way, of course, the situation is very negative. I cannot be saying any positive things that we're growing the game. We are actually growing the game of hockey because so many people, it's a niche sport. It's still a niche sport in Ukraine. But so many people, because not so many events are happening right now during the war, not so many sports events are happening. So it's a challenging time, but it's also a time of opportunity for bringing more fans that are in Ukraine, in Kyiv, more fans to the games, and allow them experience the wonderful game. I think that we are doing a pretty good job in this.
And of course, to do all this, to have a team, of course, you need some kind of funding, so
Yeah.
where do you get the money? Who helps you?
Well, right now it's fully basically our family money. So there are no other sponsors yet. Hopefully next season there will be. So this is something that we are working on, starting to work very much and have a focus on this. But it's hard to be explaining and asking people for investments in sports when you have drones and missiles falling into your head. And so I very much understand that many businesses have to focus, and it's a given, have to focus on the military side, and helping our army. But life goes on, and there's still people are still living, and they have to leave. And even our military that we talk to, the guys and girls who come to our games, they need this as well. So it's a challenge to find sponsors at this time for sports and for hockey as well.
Yeah, and has the hockey club also received some kind of support, for example, from Latvia, some sports organizations here, or do you have any kind of maybe cooperation with the ice hockey players or stuff right here in Latvia? Maybe you play some games here or something like that? Or
this is something that we've been working on for the past few months, and I don't think I can give out this news yet, but if everything works out, I'll let you know for sure. I'll let you know. And I think might be a good surprise for us and for the Baltic states as well. But we're working on this, yeah.
Like you said, the hockey is the niche sport. It's expensive as well. So how much this parental involvement is there to kids to be able to go and play hockey, especially during this wartime? Has maybe the state has something to offer for the parents or for the young ice hockey players during this time, or there is no any kind of help from the state to the ice hockey players, the new ones, and their parents?
I think I can say that there is definitely help from the city of Kyiv from the municipality to kids, because the ones who enroll into Kruzhinka, I think they are getting the equipment, they are getting ice time, etc. So this program is still going on. I know that the Ministry of Sports, they have their budget and allowances go into hockey as well. So this still has not been cut, which is great. I know that we are helping the kids as well. We went last summer, we went to play a few games in the UK, and it was a great fundraising event. And I think that just 2 games we were able to buy ice skates for, I don't know, for, I think 30 or 50 kids, which is amazing, really. So thanks to the Blaze Country Club that hosted us, helped do this. But other than that, I would say parents are amazing that they still bring their kids to hockey, to games, because no matter how much help is given, they're still hockey is an expensive game for sure, with all the equipment involved, etc. So parents who are still bringing their kids, they are amazing. So I can only say that please don't stop. For one thing, I think we've seen pretty good numbers with our female team. Well, first of all, I know this is not brought up much, but the girls have actually won the championship this year. True, I'm very proud of them. I think last year, our first year, we had a huge trouble bringing in girls and finding players, which still is the case, because women can, leave the country freely, and a lot of girls left, and a lot of hockey, female hockey players left. I think this year the number of girls who wanted to play doubled. So, which is great. and it's just in our second year. So apart from all the negative and a part of all the challenges that we are seeing, there's still they are kids and there are girls who are joining this game. Probably not in the numbers that we have witnessed before the full-scale invasion, but it's still good to see like even the like little positive things, indicators that are actually great.
And what about the tickets to the games? As I understand, you also collect this money from the tickets and also help the army. There was this.
We've decided that, well, firstly, this is not our arena. I felt like, although we do like all the like, like events for fans and etc., and we like bring in like technology and cameras, etc., but we felt that it's not quite right to be charging people ticket money. So we asked everyone to donate, starting from like 100 hryvnias, which is like, I don't know, like $2.50 per game, minimum donation to, and then like we would collect the money and distribute it. So we've collected, by the end of the playoffs, we have distributed this money to the hockey players who are in the military right now.
I don't know. It's I guess tough question, but how do you see the future of ice hockey in Ukraine right now? Do you work from day to day, from week to week, or do you have some, I don't know, thoughts and plans for the future ahead, or it is up to what will happen in the politics, and whether the war will stop or not?
I try not to think about like the politics because I don't feel like I can, influence the world politics for sure. We try to focus on what we can do. I'm still optimistic and positive in the game of hockey in Ukraine. There are challenges, there are infrastructure challenges, and especially for our club, which we are facing, and that is something like, like a daily thing that we have to overcome, and that might actually challenge our plans. But what I'm talking right now is a short-term thing. So long-term, I pretty much want to have the club operating. I want to have the the club participating in the Ukrainian championship. And basically, we started out club. We have our strategy, and strategy has been written out for 20 years. Yeah, so this is the timeline that we're looking into, and we have a club as not just for 1-2 years thing, but in short term, there might be breaks, there might be challenges that we are facing because of the given problems with infrastructure, blackouts, lack of players, etc. But I think the next grand step for our club is actually building our own arena. And we've been working on this for the past 6 months already. Hopefully there will be positive news first on the plot and the actual place that we have been discussing with our partners. So all I can say, pretty positive still. This is as Ukraine, we have to think about the future and how it's going to be rebuilt and actually work on that right now, like in the present. So notwithstanding any challenges that we face, we're hoping to overcome them and, play internationally too, hopefully international championship someday. So
okay, well, thank you for the interview. I wish you many victories next season and hope to see your team also in Latvia sometime.
Yeah, I hope you'll see us very soon, actually.
Great.
So hopefully you'll come to a game.
Great.
And cheer for us.
Raidieraksts drošinātājs. Paldies Rihardam Plūmēm, kurš sarunājās ar Ukrainas jaunizveidoto hokeja klubu Kyiv Capitals līdzdibinātāju un vadītāju Anastasiju Ziminu. Nodibināt hokeja klubu kara laikā, lai dotu ieguldījumu valsts atjaunošanā, negaidot kara beigas. Šī bija tā atbilde uz manu jautājumu par to, kāda vēl pēc kādam būtu jādibina hokeja klubs kara laikā un kāds sports kara laikā, bet nē, par to arī Ukraiņi cīnās, lai viņu dzīves neapstātos, lai viņu dzīves iet uz priekšu, kļūtu labākas un pati valsts mainītos. Vai Ukraiņi spēlēs Latvijā vai nespēlēs, tas jau ir pavisam cits jautājums, un cik labi viņi varētu būt vai slikti, jo, kā zināms, Latvijas hokeja saimniecība, kad pievienojās lietuviešu un igauņu klubi, bija dalītās jūtās no vienas puses, jā, vairāk komandu, vairāk sparingu partneru, bet tā kvalitāte bija šāda tāda. Redzēsim, ko Ukraiņi spēs piedāvāt, ja tiešām pievienosies spēlēm šeit arī Latvijā. Bet jā, tā jau ir cita tēma. Mēs pie tās visdrīzāk atgriezīsimies, ja būs kādi jaunumi, bet tas citai reizē. Šajā reizē es aicināšu ikvienu padalīties ar šo interviju, aizsūtiet radiem draugiem paziņām, kam tā varētu šķist interesanti par motivāciju, par cilvēku skatījumu kara laikā uz citādi ikdienišķām lietām un kā visu ietekmē karš. Un sveiciens, protams, arī Denisam Berdnikam, latviešu hokejistam, kurš Ukrainā spēlē ne pirmo gadu. Rakstiet mums uz drošinātājs@Latvijas Radio LV, tas ir mūsu e-pasts. Palēnām mēs jau sākam domāt, vai kādas izmaiņas ieviest raidierakstā, domājot par nākamo sezonu, vai jau kādi citi ieteikumi, komentāri un kritika, protams, droši rakstiet mums, ar interesi izlasīsim. Bet šajā reizē tas viss. Mums vēl atlikusi viena epizode šajā sezonā, pirms ejam uzlādēt baterijas vasarā. Tā kā tiekamies pēc nedēļas.
Tiekamies jau pēc nedēļas. Visu labu un atcerieties! Drošinātājs skaidri un personīgi par karu Ukrainā.
Raidieraksts Drošinātājs.